Welcome to the 𝐫𝐞𝐚 Network, where we talk books, authors, and publishers. I am 𝐮𝐞𝐚𝐼𝐻, CEO and founder of She Publishing LLC. And as usual, we have a treat for you today. This is season 4. And again, for those of you who are new to our channel, I want to let you know that one of the things that we do is we feature our authors on these interviews, as well as in our B&B Books and Business newsletter mag. So today what we have for you is the book cover reveal for Divine Vengeance. It is by Marc. He is the author of the 𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐝 series. If you have not heard his last interview of the first books of the 𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐝 series, you have to check it out. I will put it down in the chat. But while I have you, please make sure you put your name and where you're from in the chat. Ask Marc a question, and we're going to put your name in a raffle, and you will receive a treat. I'm not going to tell you what that is until the end of tonight's program. All right. So one of the things I want to share before we begin and before we introduce Marc is what's going down. All right, so our events. Okay, so we have some book tours coming up, and we want to let you guys know what's going down, what the She Squad is doing. So if you go to our website, www.shepublishingllc.com, you will see that our authors will be representing us in several states this year. The first thing is NOLA. So we have Marc, Tiffany, and Cameron, who will be representing us at the Black Ink Book Festival. We also will have representation at the National Black Book Festival that is in Houston, Texas. We have Allure Annuals Brunch that will be in Durham, North Carolina. Again, we talked about the Black Ink Book Festival. And then we will also have the Black Women's Expo. We will have a couple of authors representing us there. Also, Be the Miracle, Changing Seasons, Changing Lives. She Publishing LLC is being honored. The name of the award is the 2024 Get Lit Honoree, and lit is for literature. Just let you guys know. And it is being hosted by Tia E. Wing of Fox 32. So anybody who's in the Chicagoland area, if you are available September 28th, definitely come to the Hilton down again in Chicago, Illinois. We are raising funds for this particular nonprofit. And also, again, we have on the 𝐫𝐞𝐚 Network on Thursday, May 2nd, the interview with S.R. Mays for his book, The Effective Use of Spiritual Tools. So, yeah, we have a lot of stuff that we have going on with the She family. So I'm excited about that. Second thing I'm going to do is let's talk about what happened the last episode.
But most of all, we're talking about mental health, which is one of those stigmas that we kind of push up under the rug. Outside of the Unmasked series, I also have A Love Letter to Myself, which is the second book we're going to be talking about, which is A Love Letter to Ourselves, the anthology, which collaborated with 17 other co-authors in this book. And it talks about how we have to take the time to really sit down and write a love letter to ourselves.
All right, so that was on the last series, and I'll let you guys know Marc is actually a part of that actual anthology, A Love Letter to Ourselves. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the author of the 𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐝 series. Let's give it up for Marc.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I never want to butcher the last name. Okay, so can you tell the viewers your whole name? Yes.
So my whole name is Marc Beausejour. What I normally tell my friends and everyone that I come in contact with is try to break it into 3 syllables.
Okay.
Beausejour. When you break it into 3 syllables, it becomes easier to say. It just means beautiful day in French. So Beausejour. So when you say
That is
Beausejour, yeah, that's how you say it. But I'm good.
awesome.
I'm cool with Mark, or people just started calling me Black Cyrano or even Cyrano. Believe me. My last interview I did with Miss Rhonda Lawson, she actually addressed me as Cyrano during that interview, so I didn't mind at all. So if y'all want to call me Black Cyrano, if you guys come in contact with me, I'm cool with that too. You know, if it's easier.
All right. Well, look, I love it, and I thank you for allowing us those options. Okay.
Absolutely.
Both say joy. I don't. I may
Yeah.
be saying that wrong. Okay.
Oh, you said you got it right.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it right. Awesome. You did a good job. You did better than most people did their first time saying it. So,
Look, I should know how to say it by now. All the books you've published on our roster.
mm,
Yeah,
true.
so you're making some history with She Publishing LLC, and you are a nominee of several awards. I won't go there on this particular series because we will be talking about it on another viewing. But one of the things I want the viewers to know right now is that you will be doing another interview
Yes.
because you will be representing us in this upcoming book tour, and you will be interviewed by Michelle Jackson.
Yes.
That will be on the Black Writers Workspace on Thursday, May 2nd from 7 to 8 Central Standard Time.
That is correct. Yes. So just a week ahead of the Black Ink Festival, which will be in New Orleans, Michelle will be interviewing 6 authors, 6 VIP authors, as she calls it, in her platform. And I will be one of the authors that will be on that panel that basically will be talking about their books. And the main reason she's doing those interviews is to try to spread the word around the New Orleans area about our books. And even though I went to her event last year, I didn't get a chance to interview with her specifically. So this will be my first time being exposed in a New Orleans author book marketing scene. And hopefully, I'm hoping that more people will be drawn to my work.
Yeah. So I like the fact that you have and you are investing in yourself and in your series. And sometimes
Yes,
these are the things that we have to do. Take the extra mile and do the interview if you're
absolutely.
able to. The banners that you have behind you, that's an investment. And I'm sure you're going to come up with some other things because I'm looking to wear some apparel at some point. And
Hmm.
what one of my favorite quotes is speak what you seek until you see what you said.
Hmm.
And so that is something that I always do. You
Hmm.
gonna do, and we want everybody else to kind of do the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's my goal too. We talked about it during the last interview when I was introducing the rest of the Black Cyrano series novels, that you're waiting on a Black Cyrano T-shirt line, and I have not forgotten that idea. That is definitely coming down the pipeline. Once the series expands, and then once I become more ingratiated, more comfortable into the She Publishing family, that is definitely an idea that I will look to expand upon and definitely create a t-shirt line, with Black Cyrano. And the reason why I'm doing this is basically to bring more attention to the novels, to basically expose more of the author public, of my readers, to the novels, because that's the only reason why I'm selling, is because I want people to read these books, because these stories are really captivating, and it really captures the imagination. And the important thing is it has both a spiritual and a moral lesson at each end of the story. And I think everyone in our community can relate to those characters.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And tonight we will actually have the book cover reveal for the final book in the Black Cyrano series. Are you serious?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think I would make it this far. The Black Cyrano series was only supposed to literally be a 1 to 2 book thing, and that was supposed to be it. But for me to have reached book 7 in this series, and the reason why it's the last book is because I felt like I squeezed as much as I could out of the characters of the series. And it's not good. It's not bad to leave it at 7, because when you look at it, if you look at the authors that my contemporaries that I've been reading, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, she stopped at 7. That, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows, that was it, because that was, and 7, of course, is the number of perfection in the Christian faith, so, on the seventh day, God rested after he created the heavens and the earth.
Wow.
So there is a significance for me, for 7 novels, and for Black Serial series to end at number 7 is a watershed moment, and I'm glad that it's ending this way because the book that we're going to talk about, definitely it's very interesting, and I think it brings the series to a much needed close.
Wow. See, I love that. It's meaningful, it's memorable. Um, and that's what I absolutely enjoy about all of the books that you write because they're all meaningful. When you move, it's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about why you tell us a little bit about this final book, Divine Vengeance.
Okay, so Divine Vengeance. So Divine Vengeance is going to center around 3 main characters, and Divine Vengeance is basically the 3 characters that are going to be the main players are basically the former gang member turned New York City attorney, Edward Reed, who was once known as Antonio Franks. And then you have the recording gospel slash R&B artist, Andrea McAfee, who happens to be the sister of Lori McAfee, who was a girl that was slain in my first book, The Preacher's Web. And then I introduced a new main character in Divine Vengeance, Chris Anderson, who was a 15-year-old boy who was actually a beginning member of the gang MOB, which he was initiated to because of his mother, Latoya, who was actually basically his mother, who basically she had with David Anderson. David Anderson was actually one of the gang leaders alongside Tadarius Hill. And as you know from The Preacher's Web, David Anderson was wrongly accused of murdering Lori McAfee because they were in a relationship together. And basically, they accused him of murdering her. And when his innocence was proved in the court of law, Antonio Franks was a star witness who corroborated Pastor Mike Hillman's story. And then since then, the gang has been hunting him. And as you saw in one of my books, Street Retribution, there was a bounty put out on his head and also David Anderson's head for turning their backs on the so-called family because the gang had a twisted idea that they were a family and whatever they were doing was for the good of the family. And when we talk about fierce loyalty, all the members of that gang had fierce loyalty, which means that they were willing to die or they were willing to kill others in order to hold on to that loyalty.
Wow, now that's deep. Wow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I remember you talking about the other books
Mm-hmm.
and your inspiration to writing these
Yes.
books. Can you let the viewers know again where your inspiration comes from?
Well, in short, my inspiration comes from 3 sources. Of course, it comes from God because without Him, I can do nothing. The Lord blessed me with this gift of creativity, and all I'm doing is just sharing it and giving it back to Him and giving it also to others to share my stories that I have. And also because I was inspired by how I grew up in Queens, New York, just the environment I grew up around, and then the people I've come in contact with over the years and some of the characters that shaped some of the experiences I've been through. They helped. It made it easier for me to write those experiences in a story-like situation where I put these characters in relatable situations that the author can put themselves into. And then I put them in situations where they have to make either a quick decision, where they have to deal with temptations, where they have to deal with life-threatening situations. The inspiration definitely came from my experiences growing up, and also my spiritual background, because there's always a journey that the main character goes through, but at the end of the book, there's always some type of spiritual realization or spiritual growth that they go through. And then they're able to understand, that uh, there's a transformation that takes place basically with those characters. Like they were one way at the beginning, but at the end, they are completely different. And then also, I will also use these books as a way to um, basically give my readers an emotional roller coaster type thing. Like I always want to take my readers on a ride, on an emotional ride, basically from unpredictability to shock to anger to maybe tears. And there's a lot of great characters over the years that I've written with the series that was not able to survive all 7 books. Most of them died. Most of them were killed off. So it's emotional as an author, especially a fiction author, when you have to kill a beloved character. And some readers may not like it, but it adds to the canon of the story and it makes the story that much better.
Wow. Yeah. That I think I'm just I was, so for you all that don't know, okay, although we're doing the book cover, I'm gonna let you know when you follow the proper structure of publishing a book, you will have it well before it is published. Uh Divine Vengeance, it will launch May 1st. Okay, so I know I already got me a copy in my hand and I'm ready for the author to sign my book. Okay. And actually, I have all of these books that I'm ready that I need a signature for, and I haven't received them yet, but that's okay. We're going to let you off tonight since we are doing the book cover reveal. All right. So I want to get into the designing of the book cover. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
can you share with the audience the process and the collaboration of designing your book cover?
Well, I would like to say I want to take full credit for designing the cover, but I cannot do that because I had a lot of help. I want to take this time to shout out my cover designer, Mr. Clinton Holmes from Your Property Marketing. He did a really great job coming up with a concept. And one of the things that came into play for designing this amazing cover for Divine Vengeance was I told Clinton, okay, so I want this cover to be more significant than the other covers that you designed for me because Clinton has worked with me since Split Decision 2, The Comeback. And for those of you who don't remember what that looked like, I'm gonna kind of show it. So Split Decision 2. So
Okay.
I love his 3-dimensional. I know it's kind of like a little light glare, so I don't know if y'all could see it.
Yeah.
Can y'all see it? I think the
Let me
the
see.
reflection of the monitor may be.
Yeah.
There it goes. Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, Mr. Holmes basically helped me design Split Decision 2, The Comeback. And what I like about his designs is his covers were more 3-dimensional than the first couple books that I came out with, which were designed completely through my previous publishing company, graphic designer. So Clinton Holmes was able to capture the essence of the characters involved in the books. So from Split Decision 2, he has worked with me. And then he was able to also design the concept for Street Retribution as well, which was the next one right after Split Decision 2. And it's a story, of course, about Edward Reed, who we're going to talk about later on for Divine Vengeance. And for Divine Vengeance, I wanted him to, I told him, since this will be the last book in the Black Cyrano series, I want to go out with a bang. Like I want this book, I want people to, when they look at the book, I want them to see who the central players of this book are, or who they will be. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a couple of composite characters just because I had to send him a summary of my book. And in the summary, I made sure I detailed who the main characters were going to be. So I made his job a little easier. So then he came back to me and he said, okay, here are some examples I had. And he showed me the pictures of the people who would be representing the main characters of Divine Vengeance. So of course we have the lawyer, and he's going to be the man with the suit that you see. That is, of course, Edward Reed, who is a New York City attorney. And then you have uh, Andrea McAfee, who is the R&B, gospel artist. She's the young lady on the right. And then in the middle, you have the newest character, Chris Anderson, who is also um, he's also a main character in Divine Vengeance as well. And then he came up with this brilliant idea to incorporate all three of the characters in the cover of the book, which would make the book more attractive to the viewer and also summarize the story. And it makes makes it easier for them to understand the synopsis of the story. So the cover basically uh, show the synopsis in visual.
So what I'm gonna say is, if you guys see me looking like, let me see, is this my right or my left? Yeah, my left. If you guys see me looking to my left, it's because I am looking at this amazing book cover, you guys. Okay, shout out to the man who put this together.
Mr. Clinton Holmes.
Mr. Clinton Holmes, look,
Yeah.
kudos to you because you did a phenomenal job bringing this cover to life. And when I look at the cover, all I could think of is movie. That's all I can think of. You know what I'm saying? And it's coming to fruition because what we're going to do, we're going to speak what we seek until we see what we said.
Yes, ma'am.
Movie. Yes.
Absolutely. I believe it. And Divine Vengeance,
Yeah.
Quiet as It's Kept. I love all my books in the Black Serial series, and I think all of them have bestseller potential. I really do, and especially with a machine like She Publishing backing them up, I think that it's come closer to fruition more so now than ever. But Divine Vengeance has a chance to be a national bestseller. I think that one has a chance. Just off the cover alone, I think it's going to make some noise in the industry.
Yeah. I totally agree. For the viewers, so you were Mark was trying to show the other book covers, and so I just kind of want to show them a little bit clearly for them. So
Yeah.
he talked about Split Decision 2. Is that one of the books
But
you were talking about?
right, as far as the first book that Clinton Holmes designed for me. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So he was the one that designed this cover for me. That was the first time we collaborated, was for Split Decision
Okay.
2 to come back. So yeah.
All right. And then did you say something about Street Retribution
Yeah,
or
yes, I did. Street Retribution was the second book that he helped design the cover for. And if you look in the
okay.
words retribution, you'll see the silhouette of two other characters there who are supposed to represent
Yes.
the thing. So that's why I like his 3D imaging in the cover. So that shows how talented Mr. Holmes is at what he does, and he's able to bring your book to life.
Oh, look, I didn't even realize that until now. So these
Yeah.
are amazing. These are absolutely amazing covers.
Mm.
One of the things that I will say is, so every book thus far that Mark has had his name, and so this is meaningful for me and for the She family. Every book that Mark has published, and this may sound minimal to people, but this is huge for me. Okay. Cover, his name is at the bottom of the book. Okay. So for me, this was like a transition because this is the first book that we've launched, the first edition, and his name is on the top of the book. Okay. So again, this may not be meaningful to anybody else, but it's the little things that makes a huge impact. And for me, I thank you because this was a symbol for me that this is it.
I
This is
believe
the
it.
book.
I believe it. And you know what? I want to thank She Publishing for helping this dream become a reality. Not only was She Publishing able to provide a home for the Black Serial series, but it gave me a good it gave me a sense of comfortability for me to be able to release Divine Vengeance and for it to join the rest of the family. So it's amazing. It's a beautiful moment. Every time it's release week or it's launch week, for all my fellow authors out there, it is a beautiful moment. It is a great moment, and it never gets old for me because that shows all your work is finally being recognized, and it's about to hit the stores. It's about to hit publication, and it's about to hit distribution. So all of that is coming into fruition. And when I tell y'all, divine vengeance is exactly what the title drums it up to be. It's like divine vengeance. It's like the people who were causing torment throughout the series, they receive their comeuppance in that book. So believe me. And when we get to talking about the summary, I'll go deeper into it.
Okay. All right. So just to let you guys know, this actual show was sponsored by one of your other author family members. And so we just want to give a shout out to them for sponsoring this particular show. And to let you know, Mark, you can look forward to your book having a reveal like this because you will have a promo video for this particular book, since this is the first original that's come. So let's check out the sponsor of this particular show. Check it out. So,
Ooh.
Divine Vengeance. I hear that the team is doing something fantabulous like that to be an intro.
Ooh. Oh yeah, yeah, it's gonna be dope. Yeah, definitely. Because and that is along the lines, the vein of what the essence of divine vengeance is about, really.
Really?
Yeah, because during that promo, I sensed like a dark but yet mysterious type of vibe I'm getting from there. So yeah,
Yeah.
and that's sort of the direction I want to take. But there's also an air of finality, like everything that's done in the dark will come to light type of thing, even though it's a crime novel, and that's sort of like the direction that I wanted to kind of take the final installment of the Black Serial series into.
Look, okay, I'm loving it. Okay, all right. Now let's see. Where do we want to go from here? Because we talked about the cover a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about the summary.
Okay. Of Divine Vengeance,
Yeah.
of course, absolutely. So basically, Divine Vengeance, it basically picks up right after Street Retribution. Now that doesn't mean that if you haven't read Street Retribution, you can't read Divine Vengeance. You can, because what I do in Divine Vengeance is I briefly summarize some of the events that took place in my earlier books. So even if you pick up Divine Vengeance first, that's fine, because you won't be caught too behind. But in order to kind of get on top of things, I definitely would recommend getting these three books. I would like y'all to get all the series and the novels, actually, believe me. But the main books that kind of is in chronological order before Divine Vengeance is The Preacher's Web, of course. And then there's characters I take from The Preacher's Web who will be introduced in Divine Vengeance. You have Andrea McAfee, you have Pastor Mike Hillman, and of course you have Antonio Franks, aka Edward Reed, who is the former gang member turned New York City attorney. So they're all included in The Preacher's Web. And then I would also recommend y'all to get Adia's Ballad, which is a story specifically about Andrea McAfee, and her basically her journey through stardom as an R&B songstress, and her trials and tribulations in the music industry. Definitely would get this book. And of course, getting Street Retribution, which is about Edward Reed, who was trying to survive a bounty put on his head when the gang leader Tadarius Hill gets pardoned or gets freed from prison through a loophole through his crooked lawyer. And then he's basically being hunted. And also in Street Retribution, I introduce in a minor character role, Chris Anderson. And Chris has many aliases. he goes initially by Chris Pope because he lies about his name. He lies about where he went to school, and he lies about who's bringing him up because basically he was introduced in Street Retribution as a young boy who was trying to track David Anderson, who was his biological father, but David doesn't know about him. So actually David knew that LaToya was pregnant, but he didn't want to take responsibility back then because he got LaToya pregnant right after Lori passed in The Preacher's Web. So basically, LaToya has held a grudge against David, and also David actually led to the early downfall of the gang MOB back in The Preacher's Web, where there was a big shootout between law enforcement and MOB because David actually led police there right after the court case when David basically wore a wire and acted like he was still part of the gang. And then he went there and he actually drew the officers to their hideout, and then that's where there was a big fight that ensued. But yeah, so basically that's what takes place, and then it gives way to, of course, the final events that will take place in Divine Vengeance.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute myself so I don't interrupt. But so I think we're leading up to the time. But we're gonna need a drum roll, okay?
Well, before we get to that, let me kind of summarize a little bit of
Okay.
Divine Vengeance. I don't want to give it all away because I want my readers to be left in suspense about the book. But so basically, Divine Vengeance picks up after Street Retribution, where a key member of Edward Reed's family has been abducted by Tadarius. So at the end of Street Retribution, he receives a phone call. Tadarius has one of his family members and is threatening to kill him if Tadarius doesn't do him a favor. So not Tadarius, if Edward Reed don't do him a favor. So Edward Reed is forced to use his power as an attorney to defend LaToya, who LaToya is actually still loyal to MOB. And then he's basically forced to defend her in court, even though he doesn't want to do so, and against the wishes of Andrea McAfee. And Andrea McAfee was very crestfallen and very disappointed and felt betrayed when Edward defended who she later realized was Lori's actual killer. We all thought that the killer was actually one of the male members of the gang, but it actually turned out to be one of the female members of the gang. And then now Antonio's put between a rock and a hard place to try to defend someone that he really doesn't want to defend. And in the meantime, when all this is going on, Chris Anderson actually Edward takes care of Chris for a little bit, but then decides, you know what? I want Chris to grow up in a regular family because he grew up with a corrupted mother, and then his mother had too much gang influence. So while his mother remained locked up, Edward, instead of letting Chris go into the system as a ward of the state, because remember, Chris is still 15, he's underage. So he actually asks David Anderson's widow at the time, because eventually David dies. So his widow, Renee Anderson, ends up taking responsibility and to watch over Chris and to raise him, even though she's reluctant to do so because Chris is associated with the gang that would eventually be the cause for her husband's passing. And then, so as a mother, imagine having to or put it in a position to watch over a child who was associated with the organization that may or may not have something to do with your husband's death. So you got to put yourself in that situation. So Renee makes a conscious decision to watch Chris, and throughout Divine Vengeance, I talk about how Chris kind of tries to live a life of normalcy, away from the gang influence, away from all that. I talk about how he goes to school, he gets a job, he tries to basically live as a functioning member of society, and then but he also tries to keep a low profile because he knows that based off what happened in Street Retribution, because he wants to disassociate himself from MOB or from the gang, but the gang doesn't let you break away that easily because you've been receiving funds from them for years. So now
Hmm.
Chris becomes a target as well. So he tries to keep his head down low because he doesn't want nobody to recognize who he is, you know. And then Renee, again, with her family, because David left behind a family of Renee Anderson and 3 kids. So now the family has to pick up after the death of their father and also live with someone who's virtually a stranger to them. You know, so I talk about this new family dynamic that Chris is on, and then I think my readers will relate to sort of like a stray dog, you know, who's being picked up by a family and adopted, and then but you know, Chris ends up getting more comfortable with the family, and the family ends up getting comfortable with him. Um, and then also in the book, Andrea McAfee, she's also in a relationship with her boyfriend Quentin Stevens, who she knew from Andrea Adia's ballad, and they were supposed to get married in Street Retribution. Like there was a date for them to wed, but unfortunately, due to a near tragic moment, the wedding was called off, and Quentin has been salty with Andrea ever since, and that caused friction in their relationship. And then also, Andrea has eyes for another man, and I don't want to reveal who that is. But there's a lot of sultry, you know, tense and romantic moments in the book as well.
Yeah, I see that. And y'all won't find out about that until y'all buy the book now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's some good stuff going on.
Yeah,
Okay.
y'all gotta get the book. Yeah, like it's funny when I was talking with my editor. Shout out to Miss Dawn Goodwin. When she edited my book, she would call me, and not only would she tell me about the grammar, but she would call me and talk. We would talk about some of the drama, some of the scenes in the book. Like, what, are you serious about this? Like, what's going on? Like, are you kidding me? Like and I said, yeah, that's what was in my mind at the time. You know, sometimes I write some off the wall stuff, you know, but I can't help it. You know, that's where the story leads to, and then you know some of the characters act out. So you know, it is what it is.
Okay, well, I guess what I really want to know, and I think the viewers want to know this too. Okay, you're talking about the book,
Hmm.
about these characters and their names, and they got first and last names.
Hmm.
Where did you come up with the character names?
Well, the good thing is character development, which is a key part of my writing. When you create a character, you can't just kind of limit them to just first name or just basic attributes. You have to personalize that character. You have to basically expand on the character. I want to give this character a life of his own or a life of her own. You know, I want to give this character significance throughout the book. Like a person's not going to relate to the character unless you make the character as realistic as possible. You know, like you have to make them personable. That's how your readers are going to relate to them, is if they're personable. You know, like if I introduce you to a friend of mine and then I don't tell you his last name or her last name, are you going to trust that person? Not really, because you don't know anything about them. You don't know their background. You know who they know, who they don't know. You know, I want my readers to know who my characters are. I want them to be familiar with the characters, you know, and I want them to have a visual of who the characters are. You know, so that's why I gave them, of course, the last names, and I want to draw connections because remember, Latoya Richardson, she got involved with David Anderson after the events that took place in the Preacher's Web, and then they got together, and then they were intimate, and of course, she got pregnant with Chris back in the early 2000s, and then Chris doesn't want nothing to do with the child because he basically hooked up with Latoya during a fragile moment in his life. This is after Latoya, not, this was after Laurie McAfee has passed away, and he was really vulnerable. And you know, sometimes in acts of vulnerability, we do we do things that we wouldn't normally do, like we just out of character. And she was there. She pretended to comfort him, you know, but she was really shady. Like Latoya was a really shady person who was basically out for herself. and she was in the army. She was deployed for many years. So after she gave birth to Chris, Chris would travel everywhere, going with her mom, stationed at different army bases and things of that nature. And then finally, LaToya returns back to New York with Chris. And then, she's been discharged from the army due to a reason that you'll have to find out when you pick up the book. But she was discharged from the army, and so she was getting funded by MOB. So the gang, what I wanted to point out to all my readers is that MOB wanted to transform from just a criminal organization to an actual enterprise. So this was me trying to make them. And Tadarius had a goal. I don't want to be just someone who's, killing people, who's selling drugs to people. I want to expand. I want to make this a LLC. I want this gang to represent people. And then so basically I introduced situations where he would deal with people, you got large drug cartels that would be shipping the drugs that would fund MOB's operations. So he makes not millions of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars off those shipments. And then that money he would give to his so-called family. And then LaToya would reap some of the benefits getting that money as well. And in return, she would give her unwavering loyalty to MOB. And because Chris is her son, Chris has to fall in line too, but Chris doesn't fall in line. And then that's why his life is in danger. And Edward understands that. And Edward wants to put Chris in a stable home with a stable life. And he doesn't want Chris involved with that nonsense that's going on in MOB. So that's the reason why Divine Vengeance is a very pivotal story in the Black Cyrano series. And also, Tadarius, something happens to Tadarius where he gets what's coming to him. Like you'll see when you read the book, because it seems like Tadarius always seems to escape fate. What I mean by that is he always seems to get away. You can't lock him up, you can't frame him, and if you try to lock him up, somehow his slick lawyer gets him out. And I hate to do this, but once again, I shed the light on the incompetence of our legal system sometimes, when they kind of let criminals kind of slip between the fingers of the law. So I kind of shed a light on that. And then but Tadarius basically he still deals with his operations with MOB, with the gang, but basically Edward decides, hey, you know what, I'm not going to let this gang wreak any more havoc. I'm going to go on the offensive. I'm going to do something where I'm not going to wait for them to harm my family member. I'm going to make a plan, and then I'm going to attack from the outside. So he comes up with a strategy, and he gets help from unknown sources. From the sources that you least expect, people help Edward bring Tadarius and MOB down.
Whoa. So Tadarius and LaToya, are they related
together?
somehow, or are they?
Well, no, they're no. So Tadarius is the gang leader of MOB. LaToya is just one of the girls that is part of the gang. So Tadarius, what he does is he surrounds himself not only with male members of his gang, but he has a lot of female members, and those female members will act as informants. Those female members would go out, and then they would do the work of Lady of the Night. That's what Lori McAfee was doing. Lori McAfee was actually underage. She was working as a teen prostitute. So Tadarius had a lot of girls working for him, and LaToya was one of those girls that was working for him. But he also likes to play with his food, if you know what I mean. So he likes to dip his thing into those girls too, because he was carnal in nature. He was addicted to sex. So obviously he liked to do a lot of things, and then you see later on he basically indoctrinates these young men very young, to try to live the same lifestyle as him, to give them a spirit of not fearing anything, not fearing repercussions. So yeah, LaToya is not related to Tadarius in any way, but she just works for him.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of wanted to know that because I'm kind of starting my process of reading
this
book. So
Believe me, so basically the way that the timeline goes. So Lori McAfee and
mhm,
Latoya were girls. They were friends. Of course, you have Shania Hillman. Remember from The Preacher's Web, who was
mhm,
best friends with Lori. But Shania
mm,
Hillman is not really too keyed in on Lori's other life. Like Lori basically was her friend, but she had a whole other life other than what she was displaying in front of Shania. So she didn't really tell Shania that she was, working. She was doing night work as well. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And
right,
Latoya was a little older than Lori, and she would be convincing Lori to. She would work with Lori sometimes. Luring men to sleep with them, and
mhm,
all of that until Lori just wanted out of the game. She just didn't want to work for Tadarius anymore, and then that eventually cost her life. And then Latoya, like I said, she's fiercely loyal to MOB. She's fiercely loyal to the family, and she's not going to give
right,
up that loyalty for anything. And that's what made her a very lethal character. And there's another lethal character that I sort of introduced as well. Well, I introduced her briefly in Street Retribution, but you'll see more of her character in Divine Vengeance. Her name is Tina Lee Richardson, and Tina Lee
yeah,
Richardson is the
see, Tina,
adopted. Yeah, Tina is the adopted stepsister of Latoya Richardson. So Tina is
okay,
actually one of the other. She also works for Tadarius too, and
mm,
she's a chameleon. So she goes by many aliases. She would call her name Tina Sharika. She would call her name Tina Lee, or she would be Tina Bunny. And the reason why she called
okay,
herself Bunny is because she would disguise herself by wearing like hair that falls in a bang over one eye, like try to be like sort of like a mystery. And she's like a chameleon. Like she basically she was one of the people that was going out and she was killing all the members of MOB that turned their back on Darius. You know,
wow,
yeah. She was like a female femme fatale, basically.
wow, whoa.
Yes,
All
yeah.
right.
So
Well, this
I want to show in this book that the women are just as lethal as the men.
yes, okay.
Yeah, women there. She
All
didn't
right.
play.
Man, look, so first I want to say, you guys, drop your name, where you from in the chat. If you have a question for Mark, drop that because we are going to give away, okay, a copy of Divine Vengeance. Okay. Y'all gonna want this book. Y'all hear how excited Mark is about when he's telling his story. So you can tell the passion. You can tell that he is dedicated to writing great books, great literature for us to read. And again, it's because of the authors on this particular platform that we are actually being honored this year at an event. So I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. Okay, so
At all.
put your name in the chat, ask a question, name will be put in a raffle to receive a copy of the book. So we are about to reveal this book cover, you guys.
We need some drum rolls.
Oh,
This is
we
a big
do. That I
this
need
is a
some
big
sound
moment.
effects.
This is a
Yeah.
big moment. It is a big
So
moment, yo.
wait, so what do you want the readers to feel? Because I'm about to drop this cover.
Well, I can't tell them what they could feel. I just want them to be excited about what's to come because this cover
Okay.
is only the beginning. I'm about to get you guys. I'm about to drown you guys in an abyss of deception, of romance, of secrets, of vengeance. Thus, the name Divine Vengeance. Like you guys are about to fall. You thought the Preacher's Web was a roller coaster of emotions. Just take a look. Just when you see Divine Vengeance, y'all about to see what's up. So
All right.
let
So
them have it.
let it go. Let
Let
it
it go.
go.
Let it go. Let it rip. Let's go.
Here we go.
She, she,
I got you. Not yet. No.
I was gonna say you
Oh,
got everyone
look.
here in suspense.
All right, y'all. We are about to do it for real this time.
she, she.
Boom.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Check this out.
Yeah. Oh my God. So explain this again because you were telling us about the characters. So
Yes.
tell us about the characters again so that they can
Ab-
now put your words to effect.
absolutely. So you got the man who's wearing the suit. You got that's of course Edward Reed, aka Antonio Franks, who was a former gang member turned New York City attorney. And then of course on his right you have two characters. Of course the young lady you see there is Andrea McAfee, aka Adia, the R&B gospel songwriter artist. Who is somehow in the middle because her sister Lori was a member of MOB, and she is determined to find out who Lori's true killer is, even putting her relationship on the line to find out the truth. And then also, because of her relationship falling apart, she falls for a new man. And then, of course, in the middle, we have one of the feature characters of the book, Chris Anderson, who is the son of David Anderson and Latoya Richardson. He's the quote unquote illegitimate son that David never wanted, but um, after scouting for MOB on his mother's request, of course, Edward Reed thinks that uh, Chris needs a better environment, so he takes Chris from the system after Latoya is locked up. He doesn't want Chris to be a ward of the state or go into the foster care or foster system. So he basically takes him and allows David's widow, Renee Anderson, to raise Chris as if he was her own. And this is an adjustment period for Renee's family as well as Renee. And basically, yeah, that's basically the story behind the three characters. And all three of their stories and the way that they adjust in life, it all kind of converges into one main climatic scene at the end of the book that you guys are going to want to read. And when I say there's so much drama and so much suspense and everything that you want in a crime novel that will keep you at the edge of your seat. If you're reading it at night, I'm gonna be afraid that you guys might not get enough sleep because you're gonna want to keep turning the pages, and you're gonna be up all night trying to wonder what's gonna happen next. Don't take my word for it. Just get this book and find out.
All right. So again, here we go. This is what we have, divine vengeance. This is the beauty right here. So again, if you put your name, where you're from in the chat, drop a question, your name will be entered to win this masterpiece. You will be able to find it not only on She Publishing LLC, but other major platforms like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It may be on Walmart. It could be on Target. It's several different platforms. So all you have to do is look up the Black Cyrano series, and all of the books just may pop up. So you definitely will have to get this book. And we have about 3 minutes, Marc. So where can the viewers find you? What final words do you have for them?
Okay, so before I tell my readers where they can find me, God willing, hopefully, my books will be. I will have copies of my books when I will be in New Orleans. So if you're in the New Orleans area and you're planning on attending the Black Ink Book Festival and you want to get your hands on Divine Vengeance, definitely get at me because you're gonna want to get your hands on this book. It's the newest, hottest, fresh off the press novel, a Black Cyrano classic, baby. You know y'all want to get your hands on this. And where y'all can find me, so you can find me, of course, on Instagram at Black_Cyrano. I also have Facebook, Marc Beausejour. I also have a Facebook business page, Black Cyrano, and I have a Twitter X page, Haitian Poet 87, and I'm also on Snapchat, Black Cyrano. I still haven't created a TikTok yet, but when I create one, I'll let y'all know the name of that too in the coming days. But definitely Instagram, I'm on there a lot. Y'all could DM me, get with me there, and then Facebook, I'm on there as well. So that's where you can find me. And of course, you guys can all get my book on She Publishing LLC's website. Go to my author page and find out the synopsis, the summary behind each book. And then definitely, like I said, you want to get your hands on all of the books because all 7 books in a series are must reads. They're all thriller novels. They're all going to keep you at the edge of your seat and wondering what's going to happen next. You got slow burn, you got coming of age, you got social justice thriller crime novels. Then you got, of course, they have romantic elements. I wouldn't call them erotica because erotica goes way deep into it, but
Mhm.
elements in there, and I cross every boundary that there is to cross. Um, you know,
Dag, Mark.
but
Okay.
yeah, so there are some things in there because I want the book to be as relatable. I want it to be real. When I say real, sometimes real may not always be pretty, but real and gritty.
Absolutely.
As long as you tell the story in its entirety, that's what makes the essence of a good book. So that's basically where my creativity comes into. And like I said, Divine Vengeance, I could see that being not only a national bestseller, but we can definitely see a feature film on that one. You know, and I could see a film on all of them really, but Divine Vengeance, when you look at the
Yeah.
from the cover down to what the summary, what the book is talking about, and then how each character has diverging paths that eventually converge at some point in the book. It's an amazing novel, and it'll be the best investment y'all ever made. So definitely get your hands on that novel. And if I were y'all who's watching this, definitely do what you can to put your name in that raffle. Get yourself that free book. Might as well get it while it's free now because you don't want to pay for that. I'm telling you, you know. So definitely get your hands on that free novel if you can, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us again. We always love having you here on the Sheep Hub Network, and we're definitely honored to have you a part of the family. And with that said, you guys, we are going to call it a night. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, good night. Thank you.